Okay, so we're starting Kamala Khan, and I'm going to be using the same Z tool that I used for Goku and Wolverine in previous videos. So this is just a male 01. I'm just going to change the proportions a little bit. It's not, it's really much more unisex than anything else, and I think it's very easy to change. So first thing I want to do though is these all one subtool. I want to kind of separate the eye, and they are different polygroups. So I'll just Control Shift click to isolate those, and then Control Shift tap and drag to invert, and then I'll go to split hidden. Obviously, this is not the standard ZBrush interface, but these buttons, you probably know where they are. They're just split here, and split hidden will be an option for you. So first thing I want to do, again, I just want to make some quick adjustments to the overall physique. So first thing I want to do is kind of get rid of this V shape in the torso, right? It's really not what we're going for here. So I'm going to move brush, and just kind of like heads up, when I say I'm using these brushes, like the move brush, what have you, I have hotkeys for them, so you're not going to see me going to those. I'm going to be just kind of using my hotkey. I brought this picture in as reference, but I have to go to samples and turn off spotlight projection. First thing I want to do, again, I'm widening the hips a little bit, and I want to get rid of that V shape here. So I'm just going to mask out. I'm going to go to my mask lasso. I have a little pop-up menu to get me to my mask stuff. I'm just going to grab the shoulders, Control tap to invert, and then Control tap on the mesh to blur. I'm going to go to my move tool. I'm just kind of pull them in a little bit just to kind of make the shoulders less broad and the back less crazy. And of course, I have to do a little smoothing here as well to kind of get those shoulders less bulky. Okay, it's going to kind of get rid of the that V shape here. Okay, something like this for now. And I come in here and tone down the thickness of the neck as well. Again, at this point, at this low res, right, smoothing does a lot of the work for you. But she does have arms, but they're not as wide as the Z tool had it. So it's coming here from the back and the side as well, and just making sure that we adjust that a little bit. I'm going to come here again. I'm going to probably just jump around a little bit here, but I want to kind of go to her nose. She's got a nice rounded nose here in the front. And I'm going to kind of try and remove a lot of the angles, right? Because again, like she's younger and she has softer features, so all of the clearly like angular, the edges that you see in the jaw, for example, I want to kind of remove those as best I can. And you want to kind of remind yourself, obviously, that without hair, without any detail yet, we're not really going to get a very clear idea as to what we're doing, but I just want to kind of get the nose shape a little bit more like Kamala's nose shape here. I'm going to come in here and just, again, at this point, a little bit of smoothing goes a long way. I'm just going to Control Shift click to isolate the legs, and then that way I can just kind of work on these without getting too confused. I'm going to mask out the inside of the thighs so I can kind of like widen the top part here a little bit. Right. And it's probably okay. Gonna kind of just maybe narrow these out a little bit here at first. Narrow the ankles a little bit. Let's go from the side view. Let's kind of bring out a little bit here of the legs. Okay, so pretty quickly we can kind of like, we can adjust the proportions a little bit more. The hands, again, she has kind of, she's got enlarged hands. I don't think necessarily I'm going to be doing that. I think that I'm probably going to kind of, I might just have her hands be normal sized. I'm not really sure yet exactly where I'm going with that, but I don't want to have the hands to be the proportions they were, because they were in the proportions of that somewhat bulkier guy. So but just again, pretty quickly, I think that we can kind of start getting a better feel for Kamala Khan as opposed to that kind of that basic male basic male character that we had, right? I'm gonna kind of push the face up a little bit, and again, there's no expression, there's no anything yet, but that's okay. Just trying to get a little bit of a feel for the overall look here. Okay, so this is a pretty decent start, at least in terms of like getting us a little bit more of the proportions that we're going for. Still very far, obviously, from anything remotely looking like Kamala Khan, but we have to kind of know that going in, right? So I'm going to kind of move on now to just kind of start blocking in a little bit of like the overall proportions of the clothing, just kind of get some stuff blocked in. I tend to feel more comfortable sculpting characters when kind of everything's at 10%, and then I can kind of go from there and, you know, start kind of adding to things as opposed to trying to do, you know, too much of one thing and then moving on. So just gonna kind of bring this down a little bit. Get a little bit more of a somewhat round face here. Okay. But like I said, I like to kind of get a feel for how the character is going to look just overall. So she depending on the version of her, sometimes she has her sleeves kind of rolled up. I think I'm probably going to have do that. There's a really cool picture I have of her where she's kind of like pulling her sleeve up, like rolling up her sleeve, kind of a thing, like kind of thing that looks neat. So I might go with that. So I'm going to kind of start kind of separating the parts as best I can. So I'm going to hit Shift F. You can see here, and this model does have polygroups here. I'm just going to, you know, but even if you don't, it's okay. I'm just going to go to my select lasso, and I'm going to kind of pretty much remove everything from about this part down. So I'm going to hit Split Hidden again. So this is going to be basically her arms, like, you know, with the sleeves not there. I'm going to go here to Zebra Paint here. Actually, I'll keep basic material. I'll go to my material tab, go to my modifiers, and increase the diffuse so it's not quite so gray. Increase the ambient a little bit too, maybe. All right, so now I'm just going to kind of go to a quick skin tone here and just fill that. Let's go here to the face, and again, she's got this the scarf and everything like that. So we have quite a bit of room to play when it comes to where we separate the neck from the body here. So I think that this is probably a good place to separate. So I'll just Split Hidden here. Okay, and I go here and throw some color in here on the face. We'll go to the eyes really fast and throw some white in the eyes. Okay, the hands somehow did not get anything on them, which is weird. All right, so now we have the body here, and again, we're going to just start separating some parts. So let's Control Shift. Again, I'm going to kind of, she is wearing a dress, so I'm going to duplicate this body, and that way I can kind of keep some parts separate. So actually, you know what? I don't know how to duplicate the body or not. Who knows? But okay, anyway, so the legs, I'm just going to separate the legs right up top here. Yeah, you know what? Let's just separate them. Let's just separate the whole poly group here, and we'll separate this part too. So basically, we'll just have the whole lower body right about there. Okay, and we'll separate that. Then we'll do the boots. So the boots are going to be pretty much right about here. Right. So I'm just going to Control Shift Click and Drag to kind of hide this. Split Hidden again. Now we have the legs, and the legs are going to be, oop, wrong button. The legs are going to be red. So let's just get a feel for that color. I'm going to hit Z to bring up my wheel, and then so I can sample that. And it's kind of got a purplish, a little bit of a purplish, a pinkish element to it. So we'll stick with that, which I dig that color. Let's go to the body here, which is here. And this, I'm just going to fill with red, because this is going to be the red sleeves. We'll make the dress separately. Okay, so there we go. So now we have the boots, which are going to be blue, kind of. So again, I'll bring my wheel back, hover over there, hit C to kind of get that blue color. All right, so now we're getting closer to what we're looking at here. And again, already I feel better just kind of looking at this character and seeing, okay, this is, you know, This is better. Now this, again, this duplicate here is going to be what I'm going to use to make the dress. So I'm just going to Control Shift click on all the stuff I don't need. So I don't need that. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need the legs. I don't need any of this stuff here. Maybe the sleeves a little bit, but not that much. So I'm just going to hide that. There we go. That's all I need. So I'll go to Delete Hidden, and I'm going to clean this up. So I'm going to kind of like mask that part out, invert that mask, and then I'll do a Polish by Features. Just kind of clean up that sleeve a little bit. And now I'm going to bring this back so I can see what I'm doing. I need to make this a dress, right? So I'm going to mask out that part, invert that mask, and now with my Move tool, I'm just going to scale this down or push this down, whatever works. Okay. And then I'll scale this. Now I'm going to turn off symmetry for a second, then just hit my little Google Maps to center it. So I can just do this. Right, so it's right about mid-thigh here. Turn symmetry back on so I can do a little bit of this. But I'm going to obviously inflate this a touch, and then I'll just remesh it. So I'm going to inflate this to bring this out, but by doing so I'm probably messing up those sleeves again. So I'm going to mask out those sleeves, invert it, do another Polish by Features so it's clean, and then remesh with same. Even though it says same, it's going to give me a little bit more. All right, now I'm going to fill it with that blue. Do a little more of an inflate, and then pull that out a little bit. My Move brush, pull it out. And again, you can pull it out, or you can just push the rest of the body in, right? You decide for yourself which, article of clothing, which object is the one that really is the arbiter of what the size is. So I'm going to go to the shirt here and just kind of push that in, because I don't think that makes sense to have the torso that big. Go back to this little guy here and do a little of this. Let's see. There's definitely some weirdness here. So I'm just going to, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off smooth, subdivide it once, delete lower. So I have some more faces. Then I'll do a quick polish to kind of smooth it out a little bit, and then I'll remesh with the same. Sometimes having more faces gives you a better remesh. Now in this sense, again, still very weird here. So what I'm going to do is I'll close holes. So I'm going to close the holes because, again, sometimes open edges just freak ZBrush out. And now I'll just keep the groups and do a quick remesh, and then it gives me a much better look. Still a little bit odd though. So let's see if I can remesh one more time. Yeah, it's just getting a little bit weird here around the edges. But what I can do probably is isolate this, go to Edge Loop, and that'll give me an extra little row around there. Which kind of helps give me nice borders. I'll make that all one poly group and we'll go with that. Okay, so there we go. We have that now. All right, just want to kind of come in here, and now what's probably better, what would be better to do at this point is to go into Transpose Master, because that way I can smooth and push around clay and have it affect everything. He says while not actually going in the Transpose Master. So, but maybe we can get most of it done here. Now again, it might seem a little bit weird to have the dress closed off like this, but if the plan is to print this, for example, it's not a bad idea to have everything watertight, but I can also just get rid of those faces eventually if I need to. At this point, it's probably going to be just fine. But it just saves the inevitable weirdness with ZBrush acting goofy when it comes to the way that the sleeves work. What I might just do actually to kind of make this work a little bit better is have these little triangular shoulder parts be a separate piece entirely. So let's just try that. Let's kind of go here. I'm going to isolate this, and I'm going to turn on double sided so I can see both sides here. I'm going to go to Delete Hidden. So I'm going to get rid of those little holders, and I'm going to go to my slice curve, and I'm going to try and look at this from the front and come here. Like, I'm actually going to do it on this side because I know the slice curve only does it on one side typically, and I want to just mirror and weld. So I'll do that. It's not so bad. Get rid of this guy here. Delete Hidden. And then mirror and weld. So now it's on the same. Now it's the same on both sides. Again, a little bit of weirdness down here. Probably Polish by Features should help a little bit. And And then I'll just remesh and see how we do. Again, I'll probably close the holes just for the sake of remeshing. Okay, now we have a decent looking mesh here. Again, some weirdness around the neck area, but I can just keep these faces and Control W to make them all one poly group. And now we should be good. I'll delete hidden, fill that with blue, because when you remesh you lose your paint. And I think I can probably work with this. And then we'll bring in the shoulder pieces after the fact. Right. So we'll go here to the red and just kind of adjust this a little bit. Let's bring this down to about here. Bring the neck in, make it narrower, because he definitely still has a big neck. And this blue has a kind of a cool collar, so we need to kind of get that collar going. Let's mask out this part, just do a little smoothing here. Part of what's kind of throwing me is the posture. It's just looking it's just a little bit weird. So let's just go here to Transpose Master, and I just want to kind of angle her forward a little bit. It's just a weird posture set up here. Let's make sure symmetry is on for this so that I don't lose symmetry. Okay, and I'll just angle the head back a little bit. Okay, just going to mask that out and pull that down a little bit, smooth it, pull that out. Gonna have to bring her shoulders back a little bit because I think I must have smoothed them down at some point. Alright, I think that's alright. I'll come back here and bring her back. Alright, so now we're gonna go here. Oops, we're gonna go here. We have the top here, and I would like to get that collar roughed in. So let's just push this back a little bit. Again, we just gotta do a little adjusting of this shape here. And I'm just gonna, again, I'm just going to kind of try to ignore the red, just because it's just going to get in my way. But again, let's just do this now. So now I'm just going to grab this whole thing at the top here. Go to my Z modeler brush, and I'm going to do a close convex hole. And I'm going to click and drag couple times to get myself some extra edge loops here. And now I'm going to make this poly group, this was edge loop all one poly group. So I'm going to isolate this first, hit Control W, so it's the exact same color. Make it a little different. Come on, ZBrush, thank you. And now I'm going to go to my Z modeler, hold down Alt, and just basically select these faces. Well, I should probably select these faces too, because it's a very narrow thing, very narrow collar. All right, so well, I'm just going to do this. Let's go to Extrude, Polygroup All. I'm going to extrude this up a little bit, and then I'm going to go my Move brush. I'm going to start moving this a little bit closer to the middle here, and I could probably just go to my insert and insert an extra edge here. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. I'm just going to hide this, hide that entirely, and just delete hidden. And let's just do a new close, because I didn't like the way that was getting all kind of wonky in there. There you go. So not a big deal, I suppose. Isolate this, Control W, make it all one poly group. Need to push this little point back. There you go. Same thing with this. This guy needs to behave. Okay. Let's make sure the whole thing is filled. Go back to the red. Push that down a little bit. Then go to the head, and the head, of course, also needs to have this close this hole closed up. So let's go ahead and do that. Close convex hole, sample that color and fill it. Now I can just get my move brush and just push that down without having to worry about it. But again, the good thing is it's because it's got a closed off hole now, it will smooth better. And let's just do the same thing here with the dress. Go to my close convex hole here. Here, I suppose I should just close the whole thing as well. It's not a big, again, like I said, eventually we might need to adjust that, but for now, it'll make it behave better if we need to do something that requires us smoothing the edges and something. So, and again, we're going to have the shoulder pieces. We're going to make those separately. All right, so let's keep working here. Let's get the arms. I think the arms need to be a little bit on the thinner side. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back to Transpose Master and turn on Symmetry. Let's mask out these arms here, invert that. And let's going to go to my move. I hit Y for the original transpose tool. And I'm going to hit E for scale. And turn on local sim so I can scale it in the same spot here. I'm going to scale it in a little bit here. You can see by scaling it, I'm kind of just scaling it in by clicking and dragging on there. Like that. Just to thin it out a little bit. Right? I just feel like the everything was just a little too big. And let's just for now, it's also just weird to see the arms so far out to the side like that. So I'm going to bring them forward a little bit here. And I'm going to rotate these hands out a little bit, just because, again, it's just the pose that just kind of throws me a little bit as well. Okay, let's bring this back. All right, so now let's go and tweak, let's fix some of the things. We broke up these parts, and now let's kind of like make them work again. So we have these little guys, symmetry's on, which is good. Just want to kind of get this nice and straight. Turn on double sided so I can see what's up here. There's very little of the actual torso that we're going to see, so I think we can get rid of most of that. I think we can get rid of this entirely. All that can just go. And I'm just going to hit delete hidden. I'm going to do a quick little polish by, I'm going to hit Control W, make it all one poly group. Do a quick little polish by features just to kind of clean this up. And I want to sample that color because I'm going to lose that color when I remesh, right? And then I'll just hit remesh with same. See what we got. All right, that's good. We're not even going to use a lot of this, right? Because so much of this is covered, but I just want to have enough that I don't need to worry about anything. I'm just going to hit Control W, make them all one poly group. Fill that. So now this is a lot less of a mesh to worry about. But I can now, you know, if I want to, just do a quick inflate of this just to kind of, you know, widen it past the arm a little bit here, right? Like that. And now I do the same thing. Let's go to the arms here. And I just switch color to the skin tone here, turn on double-sided, do a quick close, fill, right? Now again, you can see here it got a little bit wonky because before I closed it, these little parts here were a little too high. So let's just kind of bring those more in line with the other points. Oops, I hit Z somehow. Let's bring in close holes and let's fill object. Lovely. Oh, I did close holes. I don't want to do close holes. I want to do it the good way with my Z modeler brush. Boom, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, and then fill it. Beautiful. Okay, so now we got that. Now we just got to do the same thing with the legs and the boots, right? So let's go here to the legs. Open that up. You see we got two open areas here, and this is all kinds of wonky because we got rid of that top part. So I'm just going to close these holes first and isolate these. Control W so they're different, the same poly groups. Let's keep groups, remesh with same, and we got all kinds of messed up. So one of the things that's happening is I think when you remesh with same and you have keep groups turned on, you have smooth groups turned on, so I'm going to turn that off. Keep my adaptive size low and see if this helps. There you go. So that's what I wanted. I can just fill that with the red. And now we're looking pretty good. Although I don't really want these to be different poly groups, so let's see if we can just bring these back together again. And just remesh one more time and see if that helps. Okay, that's awful. Why would anyone want that? I'm going to divide this once. Actually, I'm going to just keep it like that and just see if we get any better luck this time. It really gets weird, but that's okay. This is going to be fine. I'm going to go to my Z modeler brush here really quickly. Go to insert and just insert an edge loop here and here so that I can subdivide this once. Delete lower because I'm not going to need that lower. And now I can just keep that a little bit. Okay, boots. Got the boots. Same idea, right? Oh, you can see how this got darker when I came off of it, so I must not have filled it with that color. So there you go. Boots, same exact idea. Z modeler, close, boom. Sample that color with C, fill, and just control shift click and then control W to make it all one poly group. These boots actually have a little more going on in like the comic covers. They have like these cool like buttons down the side or snaps down the side, which I'm going to definitely be doing because I think that's kind of a cool look. So I just want to make sure these guys overlap a little bit more. All right, cool. All right. So now let's bring in those little shoulder pads. So the shoulder pads are just basically little triangles that wrap around. You can see here I have to do some adjustments here to this dress because it's a little bit too bulky. Let's pull the back in a little bit here as well. Okay. Let's mask off the collar, do a little smoothing in the front here. A little smoothing underneath. Like this. Just kind of smooth and kind of get that little slope in the chest. I want to kind of just push the red in there a little bit. Okay. All right. So to get that these little triangular shapes, they're really, I mean, in my mind, they're just kind of spheres that have a couple of the little spokes removed. So let's just hit 9 to save because I haven't saved yet. Let's insert any shape. Doesn't really matter what it is. I'm going to bring this over here, bring it to the side, go to my gear and swap it out for a sphere 3D so I can see what's up. I'm going to bring it over here. Let's go to Shift F so we can see what we got and go to my sphere 3D again. So basically what I want is, make sure it's all the way across here, and I want to kind of tone down the number of these for something like 16 maybe. Something like that. Okay, and actually, you know what? Let's give ourselves like 32. Let's give ourselves twice as many. I just want to have something like a multiple of 4, and then I'll just go back to Gizmo here, and now I want to hide a bunch of this. Okay, so I'm going to Control Shift, change this to my Select Lasso, and I want to hide basically everything that's not here. Right, maybe this, these guys. Right, so basically I'm kind of getting that look from this. Delete hidden. Now I'm just going to grab this, go to my moved. Actually, let's just go to our deformer, and I'm just going to grab this guy in the middle and just going to bring this down a little bit so it's a little bit flatter. I'm going to grab these and then bring those up. Bring these up some more. Alright, that's fine. Except, I know it looks stupid now, but hopefully it'll look less stupid soon. Alright, so I'm just gonna grab this. Let's mask out these. And do a quick polish by features. Do a little smoothies here. Alright. Turn off double-sided really fast so we can see what's up. I'm just going to go to my Z modeler brush, hover over here, go back to insert. I'm going to kind of remove every other edge here just to kind of clean this up a little bit. Oops. Now I'm going to add one back. All right, so again, this is a starting point for this. Let's go here. Obviously, we need to make it quite a bit bigger, quite a bit taller. A little bit more like this, a little bit more like this. I'm going to remesh this, obviously, but I'm just trying to kind of get this shape. Make it a little bit taller here like this, maybe a little bit wider, and then bring it down like this, so it's kind of got that shape. It's actually pretty close to the top here, so I need to kind of bring it down like this a little bit. And we'll just do a little taper and just widen this at the top like that. Okay, now I'm going to come over here just to see if this works. Again, it's single-sided, so sometimes it gets a little bit wonky when it's single-sided, so we might need to give it some thickness before this works, but we'll give it a shot. So let's come up here. First of all, let's bring this up a little bit. I want to try to straighten this out a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to turn off smooth and divide this once or twice to give me a lot of points. And now I'm just going to try and remesh this. Let's just see how this looks. Actually, it works pretty well. Again, sometimes when I Z-remesh something that's really low res, it kind of gets a little bit goofy. So sometimes I'll just give myself some more points by extruding it. I mean, sorry, by subdividing it. Now I'm going to come up here and extrude the polygroup all to give myself some thickness. So I'm going to extrude it inward, which means it's inside out, right? I'm going to hit flip. So now let's just see if we can remesh this. Keep groups half. Let's see if this works for us. It does pretty well. It could be better. Could have better topology, but it's not bad. This little thing here is a little bit weird, but I think that's okay. I think we can work with that. So let's just fill that for now. Let's bring this out a little bit. Okay, something like this. Look at that picture, and it feels like, oh geez. So you can see, let's see how's our edges doing. Our edges are weird, which is fine. We're going to get rid of everything, delete hidden, and now I'll just extrude it one more time, because remeshing sometimes makes those edges get goofy. So then you can just get rid of those corners and just re-extrude, and everything's fine for the most part, right? And again, this is one of those things where you can kind of like adjust the sleeves and then make the dress conform, or vice versa, right? So something like this is probably a decent starting point for the sleeves. I'll just mirror and weld. Oh, gotta turn off local sim before you do that, otherwise it mirrors and welds over its own axis. I'm going to turn the symmetry on for this and just bring this up a little bit. Maybe just tighten it up a little bit like this. Okay. All right, I think we can work with that. Okay, so we have some stuff blocked in, but I want to get the face starting to look a little bit more like a person. Right now it's just kind of very mannequin-y. So let's just go ahead and play around with that. First thing I want to do is I want to get the eyes looking a little bit more like eyes. So I'm just going to swap these out for spheres. And let's go to my gizmo and bring them down so they're, so they're the right size. Let's scale them out and bring them out a little bit here, bring them where they need to be. And I want to go back to my gear and go back to, oops, I guess I can't do that now. No? Okay. I want to flatten that front, so I'm just going to mask out this little circle, mask out this little point here. Make sure, of course, I don't do it in the back, so I'm going to Control Alt to unmask the back. Invert that. I'm just going to kind of push that back so it's a little bit flat on there. What I could also just do, if I want to make sure it's completely flat, is just get rid of those faces entirely. And then just close the holes with Z-Modeler. That way I know it's a nice flat surface. And again, like, you could make this more convex if you want, right? So, but I just want to see here. So I want that to be essentially her iris. So I'm just going to kind of give myself Actually, let's isolate this polygroup, Control W to make it one polygroup here. And I'm just going to, I'm going to hit crease polygroups. And I'm going to Control D a couple times to clean up a little bit. Turn on local sim again so I can scale these up in place. Okay, let's just go with that for now. And again, like I'm not going to worry too much about the eyes looking amazing at this point. I just want them to be look like eyes. So I'm just going to go here to a rich brown, and let's go to my paintbrush really fast. And again, this is a quick place saver, so I can start feeling like these eyes are, you know, are hers. I'm just going to drag out something like this really fast. That's really the center. Let's make sure I start this in the center, for goodness sakes. There you go. Okay. Now I'm going to Control Shift S to shrink this. Control Shift Tap and drag to invert. Hide the white, so now it's just that. Fill that with black. It's not that little line there. Okay. Something like that. I'm going to scale these eyes up even more. I kind of want the iris to be a little bit bigger part of the face. Again, for now. The face still doesn't look like her, but that's just because she's bald, I think, and you know her ears have not really been addressed, which is fine. So I want to kind of take a look at what kind of hairstyle I want. There's different hairstyles in these different pictures, and I kind of want to start feeling like I have I know where I'm going with this. Again, I'm not even worried about the face shape yet. I should be, but I want to make this its own polygroup. So I'm going to kind of back to my select lasso, and I want to grab these, those orange ones, those green ones, orange. These, make sure I just get these. Control W, and I'll just mask them out, and then invert the mask, and then just kind of nudge these back a little bit. This is kind of like where the eye opening is going to be. Okay. Let's just give her some eyebrows and eyelashes. Mostly eyelashes, actually, because you can't see the eyebrows very well, I don't think, because of her mask. Let's take a look at some of these pictures here. Yeah, mostly, I mean, you can see them a little bit, but mostly it's the eyelashes. So let's do the eyelashes here. Okay, so let's come up here and push these back a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go to my topology brush. I'm going to turn on lazy mouse for this. I think it's easier to draw out these eyelashes when you have lazy mouse on a little bit. Let's isolate this. It's easier to see what I'm doing. Okay. Just start throwing some crisscrossies through here. Okay. Tap on this. I'll make this a tiny bit bigger. Draw size, I'm going to make it 2, and then tap on this. It's better. I'll split unmask points. Go to the eyelashes. And let's just bring this in a little bit here. Bring this out a little bit. Bring this down. Now this is attached. This was attaching to the mesh. So you need to reposition this so it's actually coming out away from the face. Let's hit Shift F so I can see, because it's kind of hard to tell when it's pure black. It's really hard to see what's happening here. So let's just get a little bit of this in here. I'm going to add an edge loop, a couple edge loops here. And then just do a remesh with the same. I think that sometimes just doing that kind of helps because it floods it with more faces as opposed to the very few you get when you do the topology brush, and it just makes it work a little bit better. I can smooth it now a little bit too and not have to worry too much about that going away. I'm going to mask out the inner part, pull that outer part out a touch. I'm going to do the same thing underneath now. So I'm going to fill this with black so it stays that way. Topology brush again. And let's just, and again, I don't need this to line the bottom part of the eye exactly. I can always just move it after the fact. So, looks like a little too close there. And let's just, again, I'm not worried about being too perfect here because I just need the raw materials. And I'll split that off again. I'm going to here now to this one. And again, let's just get my move brush and just kind of rough this into place. She's not going to look like a raccoon, although she looks like it a little bit right now. But that will change. Pull this part out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add a couple edge loops here just so that it's not so much, not so bad. Remesh it same. So now I can kind of smooth that out a little bit here. Oh, that was a small error on my part, I think. So let's get my little move brush and kind of adjust this a little bit. Maybe get my pinch brush. A little smooth. And just kind of nudge this in there. Right, we don't want it to be too crazy, but we do want her to have eyelashes. Alright, let's go here. Push this in a little bit here. Alright, so now again, let's give ourselves something to look at when it comes to hair. Now, again, different pictures have different types of hair. Like this looks like she's got quite a bit of bangs going on here, and some really don't. I kind of like the idea of the bangs, but I'm gonna do my best here to try and kind of find a middle ground with that. So I'm going to a very dark brown, and I want to start with just a sphere that I'm going to shape into the rough approximation of the hair, and then kind of add strands and stuff like that after the fact. I had to go and fill the eyelashes there. All right, so I also want to do the mask. So again, you can decide what you want to do when. I'm going to do the mask first, just because that way I can see where everything needs to be. So I'm going to go to the head here and duplicate it, and go to polyframe for the head. Control W to kind of make everything one poly group. And now I need to kind of basically cut out that mask. So I want to focus on one side of her head. I'm going to turn off symmetry for a second. I'm going to go to my slice curve, and I want to make her mask basically. So I'm going to kind of Control Shift and drag out a line this way, and then drag out a line this way. I might even kind of give it a little curve like this. Okay, drag out a line this way to right about here. And another one coming down this way here. And then let's kind of come up from the side here. That was not a very good curve though. It needs to come way further back, I think. Okay. So something like that. So I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to isolate these parts because this is the part that I need. I don't need to have that part there. I'm going to delete hidden. And now I'm going to get rid of some of the parts inside here as well. So I'm going to kind of get rid of these, obviously. Control Shift S to to shrink my visibility a little bit here. I'm going to get rid of these. And that's probably all I need. Probably get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll delete hidden. Now I'm going to mask out the points that I want to keep nice and pointy, right? So I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to keep the entire middle. Actually, look at this in the middle. There's one little freaking, two little triangles. Back to my mask lasso. My mask lasso here. And I'll lasso out this one. Lasso out the parts that I don't want to get messed up by the polish. So the little points are the most important things here. So this little point here, maybe this little point here. Who knows? We'll see how that looks. Now let's come, and maybe this little point too. We want to keep this little point right here in the center. All right, polish my features. And you can see here, basically we get this shape, which is actually not bad. I think we need to do a little bit of adjustment though to these faces here, these little edges. They need to come forward. Scale them in all in one line here. Scale them, bring them forward a little bit more. Oh geez. I think this face I think some of these faces just might need to go, but we're going to see. All right, let's see if we get away with that. I'm going to mask that one out again. I'm going to mask this one out again. I'm going to mask these out again. Just one more time. A little polish features again. All right. And let's just widen this a touch. Control W. Let's do a little mirror and weld so that we get the same on. I'll turn off local sim for goodness sakes. Mirror and weld. All right. So now we have this. Turn on symmetry so I can scale that part down. So I can scale it down a little bit. All right. So now let's just see. Again, I might need to see if I can remesh this and have it look like a thing. Didn't quite work. See how it gets a little bit goofy. So again, I'm going to just turn off smooth subdivision level. Divide it once so I get twice as many and see if that helps. And it often does, and you can see here it does. It's not beautiful, but it's much better. I can mask out the little points that I want to keep again and try my little polish one more time. Maybe this guy. I'll do a little polish again. That's just going to clean that up one more time, and then maybe I can just remesh one more time and get lucky. Kind of lucky. Let's just see if I can do an edge loop. Sometimes doing an edge loop helps. I should say group loops. Let's just turn down the polish, only one or two. Polish down to nothing, one loop here. Sometimes by doing this just helps. I don't really know why, but it just gives me a better look here. So I think this is actually pretty decent. Right, let's go here, turn this off, get that blue color. And let's just pull this mask out a little bit. Just use my move brush and holding down Alt. I'm going to pull this out. Okay, let's see how much we can get this to conform to the head. Now I want to leave some room for the eyebrows. I do want to have some of the eyebrows in there if I can help it. Right, so something like this might be okay. Push the cheeks in a touch there. So now I'm just going to go here and go to my Z modeler brush. extrude this in. And again, that turns it inside out, so I have to flip it. But a little smooth won't hurt at this point. Maybe just a touch. All right, so we'll come back to this, but this is a starting point. It gets us started. A lot of this mask is going to be covered up by the hair too. I get a little bit more of an inward bow there. Right. I'm just going to hit D for the face so that it's got a little more of a smoothness to it. I just turn on, you know, dynamic subdiv just for now. For the mask, let's just see about doing a quick bevel. See if it works for us. Because sometimes around these little corners the bevel gets a little wonky, so I just want to kind of see if I can adjust that. Okay. Maybe do a bevel on the inside too. What the heck? Oh geez, must have done something. Must have extruded somehow. Again, you get that weird little thing sometimes with the bevel, but that's okay. I just wanted it. I want it to have an edge that wasn't quite so harsh. Let's do that. There we go. Okay, I think that'll work for us for now, anyway. So we have it blocked in. Again, don't judge the face. The face is not done. The face is not even sculpted at all yet. I say that and I'm going to keep working on it, but because I don't want to let the face affect the way I see the character either, but you kind of can't help it, right? I mean, it's the face. All right, so talked about doing the hair, but I did the mask first. So now I think we can do the hair. Now, when I say do the hair, I don't really mean do the hair. I mean block out something that's going to give us an idea as to how the hair is going to look. So let's be very clear about that. All right, so let's get that mask just a little bit away from the face there. Okay. All right, so let's see what we can do with the hair. So I'm going to just come in here and insert a sphere. And swap it out for a polysphere, which is a little bit lower res, but also doesn't have those poles, you know, at the top and bottom, which are just not helpful to anybody. So basically, all I'm going to do with this is use my bend curve and just kind of get myself started with some idea about how this is going to start looking. So I'm just going to grab this here. Grab this here. Now I'm just going to just rough this, you know, into place. And again, she's going to have, I think she's going to have bangs. I like the way the bangs look in these pictures. I think it just kind of seems younger, maybe. So I'm just going to, again, just want to kind of get a feel for how this can look. Okay, kind of like this, how it kind of swooped down, like a little S shape like you see right in there. Okay, local sim is turned off so I can mirror and weld. Give the poor girl an unfortunate opening in the front, which is going to be fixed up by the bangs, obviously. Let's just do a little inflate here to kind of temporarily fix that problem. Something like this. And again, I'm just going to quickly, symmetry is off, so I'm going to go here to remesh by union, except, okay, turn symmetry back on, and then remesh with same, so that now it'll just rebuild it as a single piece of hair. Right, that I can then work with. And again, repeat, this is not her hair. This is just, you know, this is just an idea as to how the hair will look and where it needs to be blocked out. Okay, So let's just kind of come up here. And now we're going to bring in, and just going to throw in some bangs here. Let's just go to my move tool, turn off symmetry for a second, drag up a copy of this, and let's just bring in, it's going to bring in some cubes. Just to give me some quick little shapes that I can just rough into bangs. And again, no judging here. We are just we are just going to do the best we can with this temporary hair setup here. You're judging. I mean, I can feel it, but I don't really blame you, to be honest. Let's just twist this here. So we have hair, kind of. We have a starting point for hair, which I think is you know, it's encouraging that she's now got some covering on the top of her head. All right, so it's kind of like finish up adding the parts. So she's got that really cool scarf, and I want to kind of add that. And I do like want to have it in such a way as to still see the collar of the shirt. So depending on the art that I'm seeing, sometimes it covers up the collar, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it kind of like hangs below the collar a little bit more casual. I think I want to kind of like work with that idea. We'll see if we keep going in that regard or not, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. I just want to kind of get this little part here, just this little part of the collar to kind of line up with the rest of it so that it's a little clearer. Okay, cool. So let's just do the scarf, and the scarf, obviously, again, depending on how you play around with this, could be really a dynamic look. So I'm going to just kind of drape it around here. And again, because we have the hair kind of covering up part of it, we can get away with not necessarily having to worry about it looking like it's 100% connected to the longer parts. So let's just bring in something very quick and simple. I'm just going to bring in a cylinder, and I'm just going to bring this way up for a second here, sample that red, and then bring it back down. Scale it down. Now, again, I do want this to be to feel like it's hollow, so I'm just going to go here and hide these faces, turn them double-sided so we can see this. Right, delete hidden. I'm just going to give it some thickness when all is said and done. If I'm thinking of printing this, for example, I would need for this to have enough thickness and substance to it that it's not going to be an issue, right? So what I'm going to do is, for the sake of the thickness here, I'm just going to extrude the whole thing. I'm going to come here first, and just with my Z modeler brush, I'm just going to kind of get rid of a couple edges here. I'm just going to get rid of like almost every other one just for now. And then I'll hover over this and go to extrude, polyglue ball, or all polygons, either way. If I turn double-sided off, I'm going to extrude it in. So I want it to be the thickness to kind of go inward toward the neck, then just hit flip, right? So now I have the the thickness that I want. I'm going to give this a little bevel because that hard edge is crazy. And now I want to kind of get, now again, the thickness is not ideal, but that's really kind of what we have to work with. If I want to kind of keep it somewhat decent, again, I'm going to be smoothing it so it'll thin out a little bit. I'm going to go here to scale, edge loop complete, and I can kind of scale these edges out and scale these edges in a little bit. Just some, some really quick movements like this. Go ahead and move tool, maybe scale this vertically so I can kind of see some more here. Let's go back to my, let's go and slide this edge loop complete so I can slide this a little bit further up and then scale it out. That's not scale. There you go. All right, scale this in a little bit. And now these little sharp edges here, again, it's going to smooth out, but I might as well kind of give it a little bit of a help by just beveling it a little bit here, right? Something like this. So now if I smooth this, right, it's going to kind of give us that look. And that's kind of what I want, roughly anyway. And again, I don't know for sure whether I'm going to keep this the way it is in terms of the collar, but that's my hope. So I'm just going to isolate these two parts here, and I'm going to go to my deformer, and I'm just going to kind of grab these two parts and you know, bring it down a little bit here. Maybe grab this and bring this down a touch. Make sure like these are spaced out well enough that it doesn't get too pinched down there. And we'll now come here and let's grab these two sides, and let's just grab the whole thing here, invert, and then let's scale that out a little bit. Do the same thing for here. Okay. So a little something like that. Again, ideally in a perfect world, if we had more time, we would kind of keep it asymmetrical. We kind of get a little bit more variety in there. But I think for now, just for the sake of blocking this in, this is going to be fine. Okay, a little bit of that time. Again, remember I have dynamic turned on, so it's not really that smooth. While I'm here, let's just go and let's just bevel this edge a little bit here too. I just don't like these hard edges. And then I'm going to go here to insert, and I'm just going to add a couple here just to kind of retain the inner walls, so that if I do smooth it, it won't automatically just collapse on itself, right? So we'll smooth that with the dynamic smooth. I'll do a little regular smoothing just to kind of see how that would look. I think that'll be fine. So it's filled out with that color. Shift tap on the visibility here. So now you can see again we have the scarf feeling like it's significant in terms of its size, but it's not covering up everything, right? Which is kind of what I was going for. Because in some of these pictures she has like a cool, like a little border on the collar and stuff like that. So we'll go with that. Okay, and I really like this pose quite a bit actually. I might tweak what she's doing with her arms, but I do like this pose. So I'm going to kind of like work with that in mind. In fact, at this point I might even start thinking about posing her, because I do want to I want to add the symbol obviously, but it might be easier to add the symbol after it's posed. So I think that's kind of what I'll do. The last thing I'll do with symmetry on though is just add the trim to the little collar, to the little sleeve pieces, because they're not going to get deformed much, and I'll do that with the collar too. So let's do those little trim parts. We'll do some to the bottom of the dress as well, but that's probably something we can do after she's posed, because that doesn't require symmetry really. It's just going to be a curved tube applied, a curved brush applied. So we'll do that. I think I'll do the boots. Everything I need to have symmetry for I'll do now, because I'm going to be posing her really soon, and I want to have all the things that symmetry are needed for kind of taken care of before we get to that point. Okay, so we're going to kind of fly through these little, I say fly through, who knows, but I'm going to try and do the little trim on here. All right, so the best way I think that I can think of to do this is, again, like how do I want this trim to look? If I, for example, went here and just extruded this poly group out, I would actually get a nice clean border that goes around there, and that's actually not a bad way to go. Okay, now if I go here and insert an edge loop around all that, I get a nice clean line there too. And now I'm going to basically extrude that edge loop down. So I'm going to extrude poly loop. Let's extrude that down. All right, so I get that little separation there. Now I'm going to start doing some, some not cleanup, but some consolidation here. So I'm going to kind of add, adding an edge loop here does not give me that. It's not really that big deal, but I would have liked to have that work. I'm just going to add an edge loop on the inside instead. Maybe I'll actually undo that and I'll do a bevel. So that bevel is essentially adding the edge loop when you think about it, but it's also kind of pushing the edge down a little bit. So it kind of does a little bit of what I was looking to do with a little bit of a physical adjustment as well. So I'm going to add a couple of edge loops here just to kind of, again, keep these edges from getting too soft. Do the same thing on the underside here. So just do a quick bevel if I can, then a quick insert just to kind of hold those edges a little bit better. Okay, so now if I smooth this, you see again we get those edges held pretty well. this little guy here is not being held great. It could just crease this whole edge. That would probably work, but again, creases are a little bit weird, so I'm just going to do an edge loop here, and that kind of helps. Give us a little bit of weirdness there. I could probably fix that by going on the other side as well, and now we're pretty good. It's a little bit wonky. This shape is not perfect, but I don't know that we need to be perfect. It just needs to, you know, it needs to make sense. So now let's do a Control Shift click to isolate the outer poly group here, and you can see here it's got some of these other edges here are the same poly group, so I'm going to do an auto group so that I can isolate them from each other. And now I'm going to do a mirror and weld so that the poly groups are the same, right? That way I can isolate the poly group on one side and have it do the same thing on the other. So I'm just going to Control Shift tab to isolate this poly group. Then I'm going to Control Shift X to add to my selection like this. Control Shift X to add to my selection again. That's kind of what I want for the gold, right? For the most part, so I'll hit Control W to make that its own poly group. Then I'll inverse my visibility to see what I have left here. So, maybe I do want to, kind of lost my way here. I gotta get rid of that green, that little tiny green guy there. But let's just get rid of that guy. Boom. That's better. And then the bevel down here at the bottom we'll get rid of to kind of keep that as part of it, and this as well. So this here, Control W, is all the border, right? And I'm gonna make this that yellowish color, something like this for now. Okay, hit D to kind of get a nice little clean look here, and that's looking pretty good. Again, it gives us, you know, it does in this. If you see here, let's get out of here for a second. These two edges I don't want. I don't know how I got that as part of that, but that's okay. I'll get rid of these. So go to poly loop. I'm going to poly group those two. Control Shift Tap to slide them out, and go back to this. Sample that blue, fill, right, and now we don't have to worry about it. On the back here, on the underside, it's a little bit wonky, but no one's going to see the underside, so I'm going to pretend it's not there. And we're going to do a similar thing with the collar. Let's hit 9 to save. Anytime I do anything I like, I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a curve alpha brush to drag out basically the trim along here, along this collar. So I'm going to duplicate this dress because I'm going to be doing some edge loops that I don't really typically want in the actual collar, but I'm going to do it on this one. So I'm going to go here and go to my polyframe to isolate the part that I care about, invert, and delete hidden, just so I have less to worry about. And now I'm going to come here with my G-modeler brush, and I'm going to go here to insert. I'm going to insert an edge loop right about here because I'm going to have the curve alpha follow along here instead of on the corner because it's going to act weird in the corner. I'm going to draw another one down here. Doesn't really matter how it's looking here because we're not going to be caring about that at all. And now I need to go here to my G-modeler and go to crease. I want to crease the edges that basically are going to follow the path that the little collar trim is going to be on. So I'm just creasing these edges that I just added. I could crease the edges complete, but I think it would have gone the wrong direction. So now I have that. Now I'm going to turn symmetry off because I'm going to be using the curve brush, and I only want to have one of these. Let's go to B, C, go to curve alpha. I'm going to change the alpha from the star to the rectangle because I want this to be kind of more of a flat trim. I want to make sure that the color's on, so I have my yellow. Z add, I'm turning it down from 100 to about 30 or 35 or so it's not too square. I want it to be more rectangular. And now I'm going to come up here to my stroke. I want to make sure, but don't forget, the curve modifiers have to be adjusted. Turn off the size modifier because we don't want that to be affecting anything, right? And now I want to make sure I go to curve functions here. I'm also going to turn off repel strength. I don't know that it matters in this case, but I just want to turn it off to make sure. And now I'm going to go to curve functions. I want to frame the creased edges, right? So now I get that. Now I'm going to come in here and make this a little bit smaller and tap on here to isolate that. And that's kind of what I'm going for. Again, not ideal, not amazing, not perfect, but it's not bad. I'm just going to increase that size a touch. I'm just going to undo that. Let's go undo that a little bit more. Let's come up here and let's go to slide edge loop complete. Let's just slide this up a little bit. It was just a little too off for my taste. Right, now let's go back to our curve alpha, and once again we'll try that and see if that's any better. Yeah, I can work with that. So I'm going to tap on here to get rid of that little curve, split unmasked points, go down. Now I'm just going to do some adjustments here. I want to kind of get rid of some of this stuff. So I'm going to come here with my Z modeler brush. Actually, before I do it, come on, man. Okay, there we go. So I just want to get rid of some of these little bumpies down here. So let's just come here and hover over this vertical line, hold down, make sure it's set to insert, and hold down Alt so I can get rid of them. I just want to kind of straighten the connectors between these two areas here. All right, there we go. Now as you can see, it's not symmetrical because I had symmetry turned off. So let's just do a quick mirror and weld and see if this works for us. There we go. Okay, and you can see here now we have these lines in the back here, and I'm just going to turn symmetry on. Go back to my Z modeler brush. I'm just going to get rid of those two because they don't need to be there. And now I need to make this a little bit more of a clean corner. So I'm going to see if I can just get away with this. Get here and just kind of pull this up to about there. Actually, you know what? Let's make sure that those are also. Yeah, so we get a nice little corner. Okay, let's just do a quick remesh with half. See if we get lucky here. The problem with the curve alpha is that there's so many edge loops going this way and not many going this way, and that's not pretty. So let's see if polygroups will help us. Let's just get rid of all these guys. Control W. Okay, and I'm gonna keep groups. I'm gonna turn off smooth groups, dot the size down, see how we do. Beautiful, fantastic. All right, so what I did in my little trial and error thing here was I subdivided it a little once with smooth off, so it didn't get any smoother, because sometimes in my experience, like when I have weird Z-remesher stuff happening, even stuff like this, just having more points when you remesh it tends to help. I don't like that as a solution, to be honest. Kind of wish that wasn't the case, but I've found that will occasionally work. So this is, again, this is not clean, and I will go back and kind of clean this up. Okay, so I went through and I just kind of like deleted some edge loops that were causing some bumpies and just did a little bit of adjustments here, so just to kind of give that a little bit of a cleaner look, and that'll be okay, I think, for what we're going for. It just needs to kind of give that impression of a bit of a gold thing here. What I'm probably going to do, if I want to make this collar feel like it's gold everywhere, I can of course just make it thicker, right? And while the most obvious way would be to simply extrude the inner faces of this collar, it's such a wonky look that I think I might be better off, honestly, extruding these faces here, and just kind of letting them feel like they're part of the whole thing. So I'm just going to come here and extrude this polygroup up a little bit, and I'm going to subdivide this dress a little bit. I'm going to undo, make sure I subdivide the dress, but make sure that smooth modifier is turned on, because it currently is not. So let's make sure before I do that we have some edge loops here to kind of retain the integrity of the collar a little bit here, something like this. Let's add a couple in here. So subdivide, so that we have a nice clean look here. What's going on here at the bottom, but who's going to see it? So now, if I were to isolate this polygroup here, invert that mask. Oops, come on now. There you go. Pull that up a little bit. And then just fill it with that same gold color. We can probably get away with it, right? Because I mean, again, like I'm just going to make this so the only two things I can see is this, and clear that mask. Let's go to the collar, And let's just adjust this a little bit here, so that it kind of feels like it's part of that same look. And this is just a little bit of a hemline. It's not. If anyone asks, it's not like we have two separate pieces here. It's just part of the hemline. That's all, or part of the, you know, whatever. Let's see about a little clay polish to clean up a little bit. Right. Again, I'm gonna agonize over this, and I don't know that anyone's even going to notice it when they see it. It's going to look like a collar. All right, that was a lot of work for just a collar, but the dress hem, the dress little trim, will do it after she's posed. So next, let's kind of work on the boots. Okay, so the boots kind of have, I want to give them an actual sole at the bottom here, but they also have like this kind of like an overwrap kind of a thing with some buttons. I'm sure there's a name for it that I just don't know. But let's come here and adjust the feet here. So go to Shift F, or yeah, and I want to kind of select the sole here. It still wasn't working, so I just hit Control W to re-polygroup it, and now it seems to work fine. Who knows what's going on with ZBrush sometimes? I'm going to here auto group this. Now I can just Control click these guys, make them one group, and I'm just going to this is like just a brute force. I'm just going to grab these, my move tool, and just flatten them so that they're all in a line, like so. That way I can just make this the sole, make this the bottom of the shoe. It's going to come over here and slide this forward a little bit and give the toe a little bit up. I said scale it forward a little bit here. There you go, get the toe a little bit more stuff. So this is going to be the actual boot. It doesn't seem like that one was working for me. Fantastic. So let's just do a quick deformation, mirror it from left to right, and then mirror and weld from the other direction. Okay, so we have basically the pose here. She's got her little, you know, she's pulling her sleeve down. I'm going to put the bangle here. I'm going to give her, you know, give her fists and stuff. I'm going to do the fingers later. Let's just take a look at the dress first, because again, it's paper thin right now. There's no thickness to it whatsoever, and I have subdivision levels on here, so I can't like do a close holes or anything like that right now. I could just kind of like go down to a slightly lower subdivision level, like this. Delete the lower and delete the higher, and then we'll just add subdivision levels after the fact. So all I'm going to do now is turn on double sided so I can see this. I don't want to extrude it in, because if I do, it's going to really get crazy up here with the collar. So let's just do I'm going to see modeler here. Let's just do a close. I'm going to do close, convex hole, click and drag, get myself this little guy here, and then I'm going to hover over here and change this to insert. And that way I can add an edge loop right about to where I want the thickness of the dress to be. Then I'm going to Control Shift click to isolate this, and then Control W to make it one polygroup, Control Shift S to reduce it by one row, and I'll Control W that to make that its own polygroup. So now I can just extrude this polygroup in, right? I'm going to hover over this guy, extrude polygroup all, and I'm going to extrude it in. It's going to pop through here. We don't care about that. We're going to scale it down anyway. I just want it to be high enough that we don't see it. Now I can Control Shift tap on this, and then just scale it in, right, so that we don't see that. And I can, I can mask it out, bring everything else back, invert that mask, so I can kind of adjust this without having to worry about, what's happening. You just see what's happening. There you go. Now I'm going to come down here and give this a little bit of some edge loops here. So I'm going to go to Insert Multiple Edge Loops. I'm going to change it to Keep Polygroup, so it doesn't give me 1,000 different polygroups there. There you go, just to kind of get us some even resolution there. And I'm going to come in here and bevel this a little bit here. Let's go to bevel, a little bevel, And again, a little bevel is fine. It'll, oh geez, don't do that. Because it'll act like an edge loop. So when I subdivide, like so, right, it kind of keeps that edge a little bit. I'm going to fill that with that color. And this is my dress here, okay? So again, at least in terms of the overall look of this. Now what I want to do is give this dress some trim. Now in this case, I probably can essentially just make that the trim straight from here. So I'm going to undo, because I'm stupid, and I'm going to go to this part here before we have anything here. And I'm just going to make the trim straight from this. So I'm just going to extrude this poly group. I could just make it from what already exists here, but I want to have a nice clean line. So let's just try this. Let's extrude poly group all. Get myself a little edge right here. Okay. Now you see how it kind of has a little bit of a weird thing here. Now I can just go hover over this edge and go to insert and just hold down Alt and just get rid of these. Maybe I'll keep that one, but I'm going to add another edge here so it's not quite so crazy. Because again, you can always just get rid of the edge loops that are causing the little bumps, and then just reinsert one, and you'll get a straighter one. So now I'm just going to come right about here, add one more row, and then I'm going to make a poly group out of this loop right there, and then I'm just going to extrude that in, kind of the same way we did the little shoulder parts, right? So I'm going to extrude the poly group in like so, just to kind of give us a little separation between those two. I'm going to try and sneak in here. It's a little bit tricky, but I'm going to kind of insert some edge loops because, one, I'm going to be painting this edge part that gold color, and I don't want it to bleed, but also it'll just retain that wall a little bit better here, right? So I'm going to come up here and bevel this right there, bevel that, and then I can bevel that line. All right, so now let's Control Shift click on this little guy, and you can see here I have a little bit missing here, so let's Control Shift X to add to our selection. So now we have this part, and I'm just going to see if I can get rid of these poly group here. So I'm going to my select lasso. That was a mistake. Small error on my part. Let's just see what we can do. Like so, and like this, and like, oh, I missed one. I got one there. I'm just going to do it on the other side here. I just want to get just this bottom part so that I can just easily poly group it, so I can isolate it whenever I want. That's probably pretty good. Control Shift S to shrink it by 1. Control Shift S to shrink it. I want to get to, not that far, goodness gracious. Something like that. I hit Control W. And then I want to get rid of this poly group here, so just a little bit of annoyance here. I'm going to poly group the poly loop, this guy, and do the same thing to this one. That way I can just Control Shift click to get rid of that. Same idea here. Oops. There you go. So this is what I want. This is my poly group here that I want to make gold. So I'm just going to bring everything else back so I can find that gold color, sample it, fill it, and then make sure that this is set to that blue, fill it. Okay, so now I got my little trim down there, and everything's just delightful. So we got that. Let's work on the actual little emblem here, because that's going to be a tricky thing. Now, there's 1,000 ways you can make this S, this little zigzaggy thing. It's not an S, I guess, but it's a lightning bolt. You can mask and distract and so forth. I'm going to try and just use poly groups. So I'm going to go to my dress here and duplicate it. Let's go to solo mode so I can see what I'm doing here. Let's isolate just the blue poly group here. Come on now, stop that. There you go. And I'll delete hidden because I don't want to have anything else. Let's come here and get rid of my subdivision levels if I have them. I don't. Fantastic. I don't even need the back of this, so I'm just going to get rid of it because what's the point of having it there if we don't need it? And delete hidden as well. So now let's go to Shift F so I can see my poly frames. Now I want to use my slice curve if I can. So I'm going to go to my slice curve, and I'm just going to kind of start doing my little zigzaggies here. So I think I'm going to Control Shift and click. I'm just going to tap to get myself a little bit of a curve here. Boom. Okay, and then I'm going to come across this way. Like this, and let's just bring this all the way down to about there. All right, so what we know we don't need now is are these pieces, right? We're not going to need those, I don't think. Maybe we will, who knows. But I don't think we will. So let's go back to Control Shift. I might have done this a little bit off, but let's just see. So I'm going to come down here, right, and then go Alt tap, come across this way. All right, and now I just need to come down to about there. I think that'll work, right? We can kind of Control Shift click to isolate the parts of our zigzag that kind of work for that shape. I'll go to delete hidden. Now I'm going to need to remesh this, obviously. Before I do, let's kind of fix some of this weirdness here. So you can see here, for example, this is kind of nuts. We got a little empty space there as well. So what I'm going to do, I want that to be a sharp-ish line. So let's go here and see what I can do about that. So let's come here and delete this poly. Okay, go back to something else. I don't want to delete anything else here. And now I want this and this to kind of come together, right? So I'm going to insert an edge loop right here, which I think I can still do because nothing crazy happened down there. And now I'm going to bridge these two edges. So I'm going to go here, bridge, two edges. So click and then click. I missed. Let's try that again. There you go. And now can I do across here? Maybe. I don't know. Let's just try it. Let's go to insert and go. Again, it acts crazy, but we don't really care. We just want to have the overall shape, which we're going to remesh it anyway. So bridge and then bridge, right? So now I can just adjust this shape a touch. All right, so that's better. Up here, we don't care too much about. It's going to be under the thingy, the scarf. So this is my thing. I hit Control W to make it all one poly group, right? So you can see here, this is all I got. And now I want to kind of turn this into something that's going to look good. So let's just see if we can remesh this. Sometimes you can't without doing some adjustments. So let's just take a quick shot at this. I'm going to do a quick save because I get paranoid. Zero mesh. And that's actually really good. It's really, really quite surprisingly nice. Beautiful. All right, so now I do need to do a little bit of something else because there's a little bit of a gap in between. You can see there's a little that little blue line. I'm thinking of that as a gap. Like it's kind of like there's like almost like there's two separate parts to this. Up here again, we get this very weird thing. I'm just going to delete this because who needs this one? Let's just delete this guy, and now I can just go back to my move brush or what have you, and just kind of adjust this because that's just unnecessary. So to get this little line, I'm just going to bevel this to get myself a poly group. So I'm going to go back to my Z modeler brush. Let's go to bevel and get myself a nice little beveled line here. It's going to give me a poly group I can delete, right? I'm going to come across right about there, maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, that looks better. And then right about here, yeah, like so. So now let's Control Shift click to isolate this guy, and let's get rid of the ones that I don't want to delete. So I'm going to hide these, right? Because this is all I want to get rid of. Control W, Control Shift click and drag, Control W that guy as well. And that's all I want, right? So I'm going to hit delete hidden, boom. And now I got my shape. All right, now let's kind of bring everything back so we can see what's what. Let's sample that yellow, fill it, and now we're just going to do some extruding. So for the most part, this should work pretty well. Let's hope. Famous last words. Let's give it a shot. Extrude polygroup all. Bring this out. Let's just do a quick crease polygroups. Let's see what it looks like. That's not so bad, right? I mean, we kind of get what we want there. It's a little extruded too much, so I'm going to undo back, but I just wanted to see how it looked when we creased it. So that's all I really need. What I'm going to do is extrude the other side back in so that there's no gaps in between, right? Because if I try and print this for example, there could be an issue there. Go back to polyframe. I would like to bevel this, and sometimes it doesn't love to bevel across these kinds of edges here. So let's just see how it works for us. And it does, kind of, right? It just doesn't like those corners. So there's probably a way to fix that, but I'm just gonna get my move brush and mask out that one little point, invert that mask, and then just move it. Because my brush size, I don't think is small enough to be able to avoid the other point, right? So I'm just gonna check to make sure I don't have any other ones. I think that's gonna be the only possible, the only really problematic one. Let's do the same thing over here. Let's bevel this guy. And again, if I just tap, it'll do the exact same amount of beveling. And at this inner corner here, it's going to be the same issue as before. So again, I'm just going to use my mask lasso and just lasso out that one little point. And just move this guy down a little bit here. Okay, here we go. I think that's all I need for that one. Is that everything? I think it is. So we got that. How about this little guy? Oh, looks like this again. So yeah, it seems like the bevel doesn't love basically inner corners when it does that. So you might just need to kind of come in here and do a little manual fixing. Okay. Now I'm just going to see about giving myself some edge loops here, just so that when I do smooth this or subdivide it, I don't have to worry about weird edges. And again, I don't know for sure if I even need this, and if I do this and it looks weird, then I'll just get rid of them. But I can just undo back, right? So let's just see. I just know from typical stuff when you're modeling, you know, it's tough to kind of retain hard edges when you smooth. Oh geez, when you subdivide. So let's just see. So that stays nice and clean. I think that'll work for us. There's that little bit of like a little bump there that comes from these two edges being really close to each other. So one of the things you can do about that, which is kind of neat, is just use your slide edge tool. So I'm going to mask out all of the edge that I care about, which is basically that. And then I can hover over here and go to slide edge loop complete and just slide that up, because this is not needed over here to keep any edge or corner. So just by doing that, you kind of lessen the tension there, and that kind of works pretty well, right? So there we have our little zigzaggy lightning bolt, and you want to save, because that was a pleasant surprise that it worked, and I am not going to let that go away. Okay, so the last thing I have to add outside of the bangle is the little scarf parts. And once we do the scarf, then we'll do the bangle. And then everything else is going to be about detailing. I have to replace the hair, but for the most part, at least all the parts are there. Then we can just start playing around with the actual final look. So for the scarf, this is a very flowy scarf. I kind of like that look. So I'm just going to kind of start with something along those lines. But first I want to do the hair. And I've deleted the blocked in bangs and flyaways here. I'm going to use one of my hair brushes here. You can use the Curve Alpha brush or whatever you want. And I'm going to start putting in the actual ones here. I'll do a quick time lapse of that. Okay, so we have the basic parts put in here. Now I need to kind of make the actual hair look like it goes with it, right? So this is going to be one of those things where basically I'm going to be just trying to put some flowy lines in here to kind of match what we did with the hair. Now what I'm going to do so I can see it a little bit more easily, I'm just going to turn off the paint, and let's just isolate these two things so we can kind of like see what we're dealing with here. Okay, so I'm just going to go up to this guy here and just turn on. Let's go up here to this and let's do a quick crease, see if that helps, just to kind of help. And you can see here, it's not a perfect thing, so let's undo the creasing for now. Let's just leave it the way it is. We'll do some creases later on so there's little edges staying there, but now I'm going to come in here and start just doing some really quick hair strandy things. Now I'm going to use a brush called Clay Build-Up Hair, which is basically the clay build-up brush that I've just adjusted a little bit with regard to removing the alpha and stuff, and it's just kind of, it gets me just a really nice clean indication of kind of hair flow. And again, there's nothing special about it at all. It's just, you know, again, it's pretty much just it's just clay buildup without the alpha, I think. And I think I just made a separate brush for it so that I didn't need to worry about resetting the brush whenever I want to get back to the regular old clay buildup brush. So I'm just going to be really quick about this. And the reason I'm being quick is because this is a 2-hour character, and you know, we're on a schedule here. Don't usually, of course, be quick about it. If you want to do something that looks good, take your time. But in this case, you know, this is more about the general approach here, and you know, so this is what I'll do anyway. I'm gonna come in here and just kind of get. This is almost like just like anything else, right? You kind of like you layer in layers of levels of detail, and this is just going to be, you know, the first level was just the overall silhouette, the overall shape. And this level for me is just, again, just kind of more of a visual cue as to what exactly is happening here. You can see there's some parts here that kind of got a little bit wonky with the sculpting. When I first made this, if you remember, way back when, I said this was not going to be the real hair. I think I may have implied back then that I say that and it's going to end up being the real hair. Well, yeah, true. But it wasn't finished as the real hair, so we can you know, take solace in that. But I just wanted to kind of really quickly just add a little bit more of this. So this is just going to kind of give me a roadmap, like I said. And I can come in with something like the Orb Cracks brush, or you know, any other kind of carving brush, and kind of really do some more detailed indentations and stuff like that, right? So let's just come in here and just add a little bit more of this. And again, you can see here it's a nice, it's a build-up brush, so that it builds on itself nicely to kind of build up the look of hair, but it's not overly harsh like the clay build-up brush can be with the square alpha. So this is why I like having this brush available to me. It just kind of gives me a little starting point, and then I can go to, say, contrast delta, for example, and just kind of increase this contrast a little bit, just to kind of make it a little bit more noticeable, especially on the top here, where I kind of want to have you know, the part be more noticeable. So I'm just going to come in here and just do this. I have backface masking on just because I know that this can be kind of a thin bit of clay, and I don't want to go through the other side, especially when you're using a clay build-up type of brush. They're very aggressive brushes, I think, and so they can really quickly and easily go through to the back and cause all kinds of mesh related issues. I don't really know for sure whether we see this part, but I just want to make sure that most of what we might see is covered up with, you know, something. Let's go back to that contrast delta, just bring a little bit more here. Subdivide one more time, go to Orb Cracks. I'm going to increase the lazy radius a little bit on this, you know, just to kind of make it a little bit more of a smooth stroke, especially for, you know, for hair. Just kind of come in here and I don't know about you, I find that sometimes going from one direction to the other is harder or smoother sometimes, so I have to kind of like figure out what direction is working well for me that day. Sometimes it's neither, but okay, I'm going to go back to clay buildup again here, just to kind of tone that down a little bit. And let's go to that the Geo soft brush. So it's like a more subtle version of this. And this is one of those things where if you have time, and you should have time, you can kind of come in here and, you know, do this all day and just get nice layered lines here, you know. But for me, I'm just looking to kind of block this in, and then, you know, later on, maybe when I'm in the have time for like a quick little just detail thing without too much effort, just to kind of come in here and just start throwing in some more little strands. I'm going to go back to my Orb Cracks brush. I like to do kind of like these little little S shapes that kind of like overlap each other. I think that kind of works sometimes for hair. Let's do a better one there. Oh, come on, there you go. Right. So again, this is a faster version of what I should be doing, but let's just do a little bit more. And if you do a stroke that you know is not that good, undo it. Don't be like, that's good enough. It's never good enough. You should always make sure that you're okay with what you do. Alright, let's just come in here and just add a little bit more here in the middle. Again, I think we'll probably need to have a little bit in here as well. Come on, there you go. Okay. Maybe one more quick pass with the contrast brush just to make that stand out a little bit more. And as you can see, you know, a little bit of neglect going on in the back here. So let's come in here and come on, there you go. Control, you know, undo is your friend. Okay, and then one more pass with the clay buildup hairbrush, just to kind of increase a little contrast here in between. Obviously I could use contrast too, but sometimes I just want to have a little more focused there. Okay, so let's just bring the color back. Let's bring the other hair back with the color, right? So now you can see again, you know, it's all right. It's not perfect. Still plenty of more indications to go, and you can kind of like now when you see where the strands, where the hairbrush strands kind of intersect. You know, you can kind of adjust what you're doing to kind of make those feel a little bit more organic, right? But for now, I think this will be a decent way to go. So let's bring everything back. Boom. All right, so now she's got some hair, and again, this is definitely something that I would strongly suggest going through and doing more with. But and I say I'm going to stop, but I just keep going, which is all right. All right, so there you go. A little more. A few more. Okay, I can do more later on, but that's okay. That's a decent spot. All right. Okay, we've really done very little with the face. Let's kind of go here to the face and make some adjustments to it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to not be in solo mode, but I do want to have it so that I can only see the stuff that makes sense for what I'm doing. So I'm going to bring back the eyes, the eyelashes. I have to really rename some of this stuff. The mask, I guess, so you can see like what we're seeing here in terms of her face. So dynamics turned on. I'm going to turn dynamic off and subdivide this once. Go here to damage standard brush. I want to start kind of doing a little bit of refining to the shapes here. And again, there's not much you can do with this low resolution, but I just want to kind of get a little bit started here. Let's turn off the floor because it's driving me crazy. So let's kind of give her a little bit of a smirk. Move the mouth over a little bit here. You can see we have to move our eyelids, our eyelashes down a little bit. Okay, go back to the nose and the ears. Subdivide one more time because really not a whole lot of things to work with here. And again, I'm really just going to be very quick about this. The ears we don't really see anyway because of the hair. So this is just because the idea of them looking like little puppet ears is just not okay. So let's just add a little something. Right. A little something there. Okay. Now again, I want to kind of give her a little bit of a little smirk. I need to give her lips too, so I'm going to go to my J-cut brush or Jack-cut or whatever it's called, and let's just go back down to a lower subdivision level just for a second. And luckily for me, the lips are polygrouped, but I need to get the lower lips polygrouped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that their own polygroup here. So let's just isolate this red group here and do a little bit of this. Make that its own polygroup, and then Control-Shift-X to increase the visibility of that. Because I want to be able to kind of separate the lower from the upper lips while I'm working on them. So this is one way to do it. Hit Control-W again. So this is all one polygroup, right? And this part doesn't matter, it's the inside of the mouth, but so what? I'm going to move it down a little bit. All right, so let's Control-Shift-Tap. Let's go back up to the higher subdivision level, and then I can isolate this group. Come on now. There we go. All right, so let's just mask this out, bring everything back, invert that mask, because I want to get that lower lip a little bit more fleshed out here. So I'm just going to isolate that so I can work on it separately. Go up a level or so. We go to J-Cut, which is like, you know, J-Cut A, again, you can get that online. This is like a really subtle version of Dam Standard. If you hold down Alt, you get a nice little ridge kind of pulled out. Invert that mask so I can get the same kind of ridge for the upper lip. Okay. Let's isolate this again. I think still I can plump out that lower lip a little bit more. Pinch the corner together a little bit. I want to do a little bit of like a nasolabial fold here, but I don't want to get too much because again, the more folds and stuff you put in, the older the face is going to look. And she's young, so we don't want to get too crazy with that. Okay, let's though isolate the lips if we can, as best we can anyway. Let's just give them a little color. Being very rough with this, as you can see. Hopefully her makeup, it's not gonna look like she's like wearing clown makeup. That'd be bad. So let's go to our paintbrush, sample this and go a little bit more toward the red. Turn off lazy mouse for the paintbrush. Never liked lazy mouse for the paintbrush. Again, I'll bring everything back. In here a little bit more. Now it's low res, so part of this bleeding is because of the low res element. Then I'm going to sample the skin tone and just kind of lightly go back over it. Bring it down a little bit, just bring the curve corner up a little bit. Okay, just a little grin. I'm going to sample that new color here because again I kind of like blended it in with the red a little bit, and that's kind of a better color for the lip. Sample that to flesh tone and push that back a little bit. Okay. So now maybe we'll give her a little bit of warmth. Okay, then we'll go back and do a little bit of lightness here. Okay, that's something. We'll divide this one more time. Go to that geo brush, which is subtle, and maybe I can kind of like come in here and just get a little bit more definition to the nose. Like I said, I don't want to have too many lines here because you know, the more lines on the face, the older the face is going to look, it seems to me. I don't know if that's actually true, but it feels true. It's going to kind of like increase the nostril contrast here a little bit, so it feels like it's pushed in more. Okay, let's come in here and adjust the ears a little bit, down a level or two. Get that ear shape a little bit better. And again, we're not worried too much about the ears. We're not going to see them. They're behind the, they're behind everything basically. So let's bring everything back here. Okay, I think that'll work for us for now. Just to kind of, again, we don't need to get a whole lot of definition there because it's going to start looking really, really, you know, older. So again, I have the fingers and stuff like that blocked out. I pose them in that time lapse, and for I did one hand and then I just duplicated it and flipped it over to the other hand. So because, you know, both hands are essentially in fists, so for speed purposes, you know, good. Even if I want to adjust them a little bit, at least I don't need to do everything from scratch again twice, right? So, you know, that was my plan. Let's go here to the shirt here. Let's just double check to make sure the shirt is all closed off, and it is. So let's take a look at the topology here. I just want to give this little bevel so that it'll hold its shape a little bit more. Let's go here and just go to insert that. Oops, I missed. There you go. And we'll insert one here too, just to kind of keep things from getting too round. So now I'll subdivide at least once. Come in here at the name standard, for example, and just start blocking in the idea of some folds. Not a whole lot going on yet at this level, just really just more the indication. I'm just holding on Alt so that it pulls out some clay, like a nice little thin bead of clay for the little elbow area. Go down here to standard maybe, and just again just start with the idea here of some cloth folds. And again, it's so low res, nothing much is going to happen here, but when you do subdivide, generally speaking, it does tend to kind of transfer up. So just going to give myself a little head start with that. I'll come in here and carve in a little bit here, carve in a little bit here, pull out, you know, the whole deal. Pull out little horseshoe shape. Pull out little follow folds here. She's, you know, I'm not going to see these anyway, but there you go. Subdivide again. As you subdivide, you know, these folds tend to kind of follow what you did. So let's put a standard here and just kind of you know, keep that up here. I'm going to kind of push in a little bit here with this elbow part. Get some folds here. And again, you know, like there are different types of cloth folds. I forget. One's like a C shape, and one's like an S shape, and one's like a W shape or something. I don't know. Something like that. I should probably know this. It'll probably make my my cloth sculpting better. But I'm buying a little bit more here. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's okay. I just want to kind of have a little bit more wrinkles in this area here because she's pulling this down. So I'm using my standard trails brush, which is just a standard brush with the trails modifier and the brush settings turned up a little bit. It's just a really great way to kind of just get the standard brush a little bit more oomph, a little bit more kind of more power, but it just feels like it's almost like doing the brush and then hitting the adjust last stroke, you know, once or twice to kind of really push it up a little bit. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of this so it feels like the fingers are pulling that down. Now, if you're going to start moving things around, go back down to the lower subdivision levels so you don't have to worry about, so you can make large scale changes without it getting too bumpy. All right. Okay, something like that. Probably should have more of an effect down here. That's ugly as heck, so don't do that. Do a better job than I just did. Come in here and let's come in here. And again, like I said, this is a quicker version of what I should be doing. What anyone should be doing, I would say. But it's a start, right? The hair kind of, even though it's not the subtool is not in the same spot, not in the same subtool, it still kind of gets in the way of the stroke sometimes, which is interesting. All right, there we go. Got the sleeves working, okay. All right, so let's do a little bit of fixing to the dress and the pants and the boots, just a little bit here and there, and then we'll add the scarf. Okay, so now I want to just add a little bit of some folds and stuff to the dress and the legs and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go to the dress here and subdivide this a few times because again, what I'm doing here, I'm not doing a crazy like subtle detailed version of this. I'm doing just kind of a style. Again, I'm going to call it stylized, but it's just really more simplified. So like for the folds, I'm not going to do many at all. You can see there's not a whole lot here in this picture. I'm going to try to do kind of a funky thing here. Now for this, I'm going to drag out my lasso here like this. I'm going to control tap to tighten that a little bit and then invert that. Let's just see what happens. Look at my move brush and make it huge and just hold down Alt and pull. So I'm just pulling a little bit of this right up against that line like that. Now of course I have to go to my little zigzaggy lightning bolt thingy and just do a little adjustment there. Right, but this kind of gives you a neat little fold. Again, I'm going to use that word again. It's stylized, but it kind of, I think it makes sense for what we're doing. I'm going to kind of do the same thing here. I'm going to control tap a couple times and pull that out. So basically, it's just kind of like overlapping itself, doing a little bit of that, right? I think that's kind of neat. Let's just solo this for a second. I'm going to do this again because I had a good time with that one. This time, yeah, I'm going to kind of come a little bit more in an angle like this. Okay, and then another angle like this. Control Shift Tap is a shortcut to sharpen the mask. Right, so again, just really nice, clean lines for folds, which I think, generally speaking, can kind of really be a neat little way just to kind of give really sharp indications of cloth here. And then you can go to your actual brushes, of course. And again, the only problem I have with these sometimes is that you can see where they start. I don't always love that, but I'm just going to come in here and just do a little bit here and there. But now it doesn't feel right when it's compared to these other sharp little lines here. So I don't know. Just a little like right here. Let's see if I can do this all in one stroke here. Let's turn up my lazy radius here a little bit. Like that, just to kind of get a little extra in there. And you can see here there's a little bit more going across the chest. Just a few indications here. Like that. Kind of push in. Let's move that down a little bit. But see, I just don't like that too much. So let's just do a little hint, one of these. I just do that stroke, then I hit 1, and 1 will redo that stroke in exactly the same spot. You just have to make sure you don't do anything in between. It's like it's the replay last stroke shortcut, I think. But I think that's good. I don't want to tempt fate here. I kind of like this the minimalist approach here. So I'm just going to kind of have a little bit here, just to kind of like say, yes, this is cloth. I'm just kind of lightly swiping, and then I have to kind of like go down a level or two and just kind of get rid of where that edge at the end gets a little bit bumpy. Just a little indication. All right, cool. Let's do the same thing with the pants, the legs here, the leggings. And again, I kind of want this to feel a little bit more like plainer. So let's just go down here. I want to kind of mask out this little part, and kind of bring out the knee, and then mask out right where that little point came out, and then smooth back a little bit, so that I kind of maintain that little area. Then I'm going to mask out that point again. I keep missing. And smooth that part down. I just want to kind of give myself a little bit of a little indication here where that knee is. Going to go up a level or two. Go up my J-cut brush with Alt, right? Kind of sharpen that little line. Then I'm going to sharpen the little line down here like this. Again, this is a, just to kind of build up a little indication of the leg here. A little more of a sharp feel there. I don't know why. I just want to try it. Okay, and again, I don't want to get too like muscular. I don't want to get too much of that. I just want to kind of do a similar approach to what we did with the dress, which is really clean folds. So let's give ourselves one more here, and where we have some here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think we're going to focus on just getting the knee to be kind of like the focal point. So I'm going to mask out the top of that knee there, and then smooth up to it like that to get that little sharp point, and then mask out that sharp point. And again, I can smooth it underneath it to kind of emphasize that a little bit more. Right. Let's make sure that this is the same material. Looks like I gotta make sure it's the same color everywhere. Getting some weird little things happening here. There you go. Okay, so yeah, I really don't. I don't think I need a whole lot. I might do a few little guys here around the boots. So let's do something like this, where we kind of this boom invert. Let's just do a quick little inflate to kind of give ourselves a little bit of that. Just push it down a little bit here, just to get that little guy here, like that little. I'm just going to do this, tap it a little bit here, and let's just go to my move brush and just pull a little bit right there. Right, again, just a little hint. Okay, and go to like the Geo brush and come in here and just give yourself a nice little emphasis right there, something like this. Oops. I'm going to come in here and then push in a little bit here too. So let's just come in here like this. Let's see if this works. There you go. Okay, all we have left is the bangle and the scarf and some painting, and I think that we're pretty good here with our Kamala Khan. So let's do the scarf first. So I want to just start with a plane that's nice and long, and then I'm going to use some bend curvy things to make that do all kinds of bend curvy things. So let's come here to insert plane 3D. It's the right color, which is nice. I'm going to adjust, going to reconstruct subdivision level about to like say there, delete my higher, and let's just do this. Now probably need to go up one level. Let's just do that. So I have a little bit more to work with because I want to have it to be flowy. And now before I do any of the kind of bending and all that kind of thing, I want this to have some ups and downs. So I am going to come in here and let's do a little bit of this here. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to make these poly groups. I'm going to poly group some poly loops here. And it doesn't really, I'm going to try and be somewhat random with it like this. Control Shift click to isolate, mask those out, and then bring it back. And let's see if this works. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm going to bring that forward, and you can see here it's only working because of that one little poly group. So that's okay. But now I can use this as a guide. So I'm going to go here with transpose as loop poly loop. Let's go boom. I said transpose, poly loop. So boom. And then so now I can just kind of pull this out a little bit, right? And let's just isolate this. And actually, yeah, maybe I can just do a little poly group here. So let's undo that back, and let's do it a different way. Transpose poly group. Hey, here we go. Pull this forward like this, right? And then maybe let's transpose this poly loop and push this back the other way so it's not all coming forward, just to kind of get a little bit more variety. Okay, clear that. So, oh geez. So now, I touched the bottom thing. So now I have this. Now I'm going to come over here and duplicate this. I want to have another one, obviously, so I'm going to just hide the one that I'm not using right now. And I'm going to center this and bring this over here. And I'm going to bring the move tool up here. And let's just pop this right where her neck is. I'm going to turn on double-sided so I can see this a little bit better. And I like the way this looks here. So I'm just going to slide it over a little bit. And let's go here to let's just go to my bend curve. And let's see if we can use 5. I always think that it's never been successful for me when I use more than 3. But let's just try it. Let's live dangerously here a little bit. So let's just kind of bring this down like this, bring this out like this, a little bit like this. Maybe we're going to tone that in, but bring this one out a little bit. Now I want to twist this. Okay, got a little bit of this going on. Okay, let's see if I can. A little bit like that, yeah. And then let's twist this a little bit. Alright, so let's accept that. Go to solo mode, Control Alt Tap to bring it up top there. Turn on local sim. Now I'm just going to, you know, give myself a little bit more of a look here at where it needs to go. So it's coming up from where the turtleneck is, where the scarf is, not a turtleneck, but it looks like a turtleneck. Let's bring that back a little bit right here. And we can just use like a deformer, like a soft deformer. Let's see if this works. I'm going to give myself a few more to work with here, and just kind of do a little bit of this, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of the other. All right, just to kind of get that to be up where it needs to be. So we don't know where it is, but we know it's coming out from underneath there, which is really all we care about. Can I remove brush and just do a little bit of tweaking? Don't forget, this is paper thin, right? So we're going to need to give it some thickness soon. Now I think I'm just going to mirror this over. I don't think I'm going to get too ambitious with this here. I mean, I'm going to change it a little bit, but probably not so that you need to go through too much. So let's just see. Let's go to solo again so I can see what's up here. So let's just make this go in roughly the direction of this. Again, like bend curve is not going to be great for this probably at this point because it's not in line exactly, but we could probably do some twisting. I think just doing something like this is actually pretty decent. It looks like it's different enough that we can probably get away with it. Right. Like this. Let's bring this out a little bit, but we can also just bring this out with like the move infinite depth brush. So let's hit accept. I'm gonna move infinite depth and just do a little bit of this, like that silhouette. All right. So now let's take a look at whether or not we'll get lucky here with the thickness here. So let's go to dynamic subdiv, turn on dynamic subdiv, and let's give it some thickness here. Okay, something like that. Let's just give it 1 subdivision level. Alright, that might work. Let's just see what happens if we do a crease polygroup. I don't know what that's going to do, but let's try it. Let's give ourselves 2 subd levels now. What happens if we uncrease? What's the difference? We just lose a little bit of I think it's better without, honestly. Alright, so there we go. So with that, and then we're going to go over, and this is so we can see what we got here. Okay, so 0.00681. Let's see if it's the same thing when we do it over here. No. So okay, so now we got some thickness. I'm actually going to go a little higher on the off chance that I want to print this. It's going to be a little bit higher. So okay, apply. There we go. So now we got that. So really all we need now is the bangle. Okay, it's bangle time. Now in the comic itself, it's usually pretty simplistic, like 3 little rings type things. On the cover though, it's got a little more going on, so I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a mixture of that. I'm going to do mostly what it says in the cover, just to kind of give it some visual interest here. So I'm going to insert a cylinder, obviously, and start with that. So let's get out of here and bring this down. Bring this where her arm is. And see if I can try and do this with my cat. Currently competing with my pen for room on my tablet. It's going to be a little tricky. All right, so let's go here, and now I am of course eventually going to rotate it so it fits the arm. I don't want to do that yet. I think it's easier just to model things when they're still straight up and down. So I'm going to stick with that for now. I'm going to go to the deformer really fast and just do a little bit of tapering. I could use a taper tool, of course, as well, but I want to be able to deform it or squash it front to back as well without having to worry about that. Okay, something like that. Just for now. Probably need to squash it at the top a little bit more, so let's try this one more time. There we go. Okay. Like I said, we'll rotate this and stuff, but that's good enough for now. So what I can see from this bangle here is that it tends to have a lot of rings going around it, and more than this probably, but I'm going to stick with this number because I think it's probably just fine. Let's come up here with Z modeler first, and let's add an edge loop at the top and the bottom. Maybe not quite so close to the end. I do want to have a little bit of a roundness to it. And I'm going to duplicate this really fast. I'm going to use a part of this later on, so I'm going to hide one of those pieces. But now what I'm going to do is do a little bit of, I want these rings here. So I'm going to basically I'm going to bevel this little guy here, because this is going to give me a separation between all of the the rings here, right? So I'm just going to bevel. Oh, geez, don't do that. I'm going to bevel every one of these edges. And now I want to make sure that top and bottom are different polygroups than these rings. That way I can extrude the polygroups. I don't have to worry about it. So let's go to extrude polygroup all, extrude it out like that, right? Really quick, really easy. Can I bevel the polygroup border? I don't know if I can. No, I sure can't. Okay, polyloop. Can I bevel a polyloop? No, I can't. Okay. Someone needs to explain to me what bevel why bevel works on what bevel does for polys, but who knows? Okay, so I'm going to give a little bevel. I'm going to bevel all these guys so that they have a little bit more of a natural edge that will catch light. It won't be too sharp. So here's the exciting. Oh geez, here's the exciting bevel every edge. Bevel every edge. Forward edge. Let's go here and boom. Gotta be close. Okay, there we go. All right, lots of beveling. It's all good. Okay, so these are all of our polygroups. Plenty of polygroups, but that's fine. So now if I just hit D, you can see that's what I get, right? Lovely, fantastic. All right. So now, and that's kind of like, oops, geez. So that's kind of what she has on her bangle. And there's another, and like there's a in the comic covers, there's a little bit more going on. Now this, I'm just going to have to kind of scale out a little bit here so that it's a little bit bigger. So there's a little bit like, it's like kind of like a little extra bit of stuff happening here. So it's hard to explain, but you'll probably recognize it, hopefully. I don't know, we'll see. I'm just going to kind of grab all this. And let's just get rid of this poly loop here. Poly loop. Get rid of that. All right, this is all I want. Delete hidden. And I need there to be basically a bunch of what looks like maybe like 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13. Is that really 14? Is that what I have? Really 14 rows? All right. That's fine, I guess. So we'll just go with, let's go with 3 rows here. So I'm going to go to my select lasso here. And I'm going to hide these 3 rows, Control W. Hide these 3 rows, Control W. Hide these 2 rows, Control W. Hide these 2 rows, Control W, and hide 2. All right, so basically I have something like this, right? It's not perfect, but I'm going to do a little sliding now. I just want to have something that feels roughly equidistant. So let's go ahead and do a little of this. All right, it doesn't really matter how many edges they have. In fact, the fewer the better in some cases. Okay, that should be good. And now let's see how many I have going this way. 4, 8, I think 16. Did I count 16? Did you count 16? Let me know. Okay, yeah, 16. That's good. So I'll have 4 going across. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. So here's what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to just isolate. I'm going to just make these polygroups of 4. So I'm just hiding everything and then making that, right? So I'm making 4 polygroups of 4 in each row. It's a lot of work for a bangle, but it's okay. It's a good bangle. So let's just do this. Boom, boom, and boom, and boom, and boom. Nope, and boom. Yeah. And then here we go again. This is the exciting part. You don't want to miss this. This is where I make different polygroups, and the color is a slight shade different from what it was, which I love. That's actually a real different shade. Never mind. See? I shamed it into doing what it should be doing. All right, so almost there. Boom, and then boom, and by the way, I apologize for my keyboard. It makes a lot of noise, but I love it. Okay, so there we go. Lots of little guys here, and that's perfect. Now, first thing I gotta do is give myself some thickness. So I'm going to extrude all polygons. Now, if I were to do that outward, I lose all my poly groups that I just got done working on. So I'm going to do it inward, which turns it inside out, but it keeps my poly groups. Now let's hit flip. Now, of course, by shooting it inward, let's see what happens when I get out of solo mode. It's just barely visible, so I'm just going to hold down Alt and pull upward to kind of scale it out a tiny bit more so that it just stands out a little bit more. So now what I got to do is I have to inset each poly group, okay, legacy version. So I'm going to inset like that. Long bit of stuff here, but now I can extrude this. So let's extrude. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide this once, maybe twice, and then delete lower, because I just don't want to have to worry about that. So I'm just going to, oh geez, let's go to extrude, polygroup all, and let's go vroom. So that's kind of what I see in the Bangle thing here. So I'm just going to go here to gold really fast. Material and color, fill that. Let's go to this one and fill that. Hit D. Go back up to this one. D. All right. So this is where we are with the Bangle. Okay, so now we have a gold Bangle. I added a little yellow to it too to give it more of a gold feel. And in that picture, they're like these little, I don't know if they're jewels or whatever on there, but they seem like it, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give the Bangle here some little jewels. So let's just go to the gosh darn primitive brush here, and let's just insert this guy. Turn off polyframe here so I can see that. Okay, something like this. I'm going to go to a darker purple, I think. Maybe not quite so dark. And now, through the magic of time lapse, I'm going to apply it everywhere. And there we go. So again, just quick little something. I have no idea what they are, but I'm going to go with that. It looks kind of neat. So now I'm going to, and I could use the little move more than one subtool thing, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to Control Shift click on the 3 parts of the Bangle. Make sure that nothing else is moving, and it doesn't, so that's good. So that's going to bring this back here, take a look at it from above. It's kind of hard to tell when everything's grayed out like this. There should be kind of a way to do the same kind of thing like view mask and, you know, not view that. And maybe there is, I just don't know. Let's center this for goodness sakes. Okay, let's just put it right here. Put this right around there. Let's see how that looks. Scale it down a little bit. Bring it up. Okay. So let's just go right back to that. Scale it in a little bit this way. So now what I'm going to do, again, I could probably, let's just try this. Let's go to T-pose mesh. Let's try this. Because what I need to do is just avoid the hand a little bit here. So I'm just going to isolate these 3 subtools, mask everything else, go to move with infinite depth, and just kind of just tweak this shape a little bit. Let's go to regular old move for this too, instead of move infinite depth, so I don't move everything that I don't want to move. I think that should be okay. Just want to make it a little bit less obviously interpenetrating the hand, but we're going to just pretend we don't see that. Let me, if I ever make pretend you don't see that. There we go. Alright, let's try it. And you can see while it's coming back, I did, I went to the S, or not the, I keep calling it S, but I went to the little lightning bolt here, and I filled that with gold too. I thought that was kind of cool looking. Right, so now we have her Bangle, we have a little bit of everything. So all I'm going to do now is just some finishing touches, and then we'll come back and wrap everything up. Alright, so as you can see, I just added a little bit of paint, not a whole lot, just some highlights here and there. Mostly just hitting the high points there, and I used the Trim Dynamic brush, which is a great brush for for like basically almost dry brushing. I just turn off the Z sub, obviously, turn on RGB and keep it very, very low. And I tend to hit the high points with that. If you want to get in the low areas, then you hold down Alt and use your backup color for that. Did a little rim light here, but for the most part, you know, I may have added little buttons to the boots and stuff, but for the most part, this was a bit of a complicated one. It's surprisingly complicated, at least in terms of the face, which is a little bit tricky because it has to look young. I had to get that mask on there, and getting the skirt to look decent. That little emblem was a little bit tricky too. So this was actually a more challenging one than I thought, but the hair I think was a bit of a challenge as well. But most of it was just a matter of blocking in the shapes and slowly refining it until you found what you like. So hopefully this was useful to you.